Today we discuss about body wall of earthworm. So the body wall consists of 4 layers. Histologically, body wall consists of 4 layers, which are cuticle, epidermis, muscles and celomic epithelium from outward to inward. That means cuticle is the outermost layer and celomic epithelium is the innermost layer. Now let's first read about cuticle. The cuticle is outermost layer and is thin double layered elastic and non-chitinous. The elasticity is due to collagen fibers. Collagen fibers are present in it, which gives the elasticity. The collagen fibers are present and the collagen fibers give the elasticity. And one more thing about it is that it remains perforated at places. That means it contains a number of pores at intervals through which the glandular cells in epidermis opens out. So we have to know this much about the cuticle. It is outermost layer, it is thin, double layered, elastic and non-chitinous. That means does not contains chitin, and the elasticity is due to collagen fibers which are present in it, and it has a number of openings at intervals, or it is perforated at places, and through these openings the glandular cells which are present in the epidermis, they opens out. About glandular cell we read in epidermis. 2 type of glandular cells are present, which are mucus cell and albumin cell, and they open outside through these openings. Okay, let's draw the cuticle. So the cuticle is this is the cuticle. These are the collagen fibers. These are the fibers. These are the openings. So this is cuticle. Now inner to the cuticle, epidermis is present. Epidermis. So inner to cuticle, epidermis is present, and this epidermis, it consists of single layer of cell, and the cell rests on a membrane. That membrane is called as basement membrane. It consists of single layer of cells, and the cells rest on basement membrane. basement membrane. The epidermis consists of different type of cell. It consists of supportive cells, glandular cells, basal cells, and sensory cells. So these four are the types of cell which are found in epidermis, which are supportive cells, glandular cells, basal cells, and sensory cells. Okay, let's first draw the epidermis and then we discuss about the type of the cell. Okay, now the basement membrane. This one is basement membrane. This is basement membrane. Now the glandular cells. This is the glandular cell. This one is glandular cell. And now the supportive cells. The supportive cells are the cell which are tall column-like cell. These are the supportive cells. These are the supportive cells. This is another supportive cell, and so this one is the supportive cells, and these are the all these are supportive cells. Here this one is supportive cell. Okay, now the basal cells are small cells which are present at the inner side of the supportive cells and the glandular cells. So these are the basal cells. These are the basal cells. These are basal cells. So now in glandular cells. So now let's name them. This one is glandular cell. This one is supportive cell, and this one is basal cell. Okay, now let's make it somewhat brighter. So now let's study about the different type of the cells. The first one type is supportive cells. The supportive cells are tall column-like cell and they form main bulk of the epidermis. Are narrow, tall, column-like cells and form main bulk of epidermis. They form the main bulk of the epidermis. Now the next one type is glandular cells. The glandular cells are a special type of cell which secrete some substances, or they are special secretory cell. Are special secretory cells and open outside by pores on cuticle. They open outside by the pores which are present on cuticle, and they are of two types, and they are of two types. The two types are, one type is mucus cells and another type is albumin cells. The mucus cells are more numerous. They are more numerous and they produce mucus which makes body surface moist, which makes body surface moist and also helps in plastering of the burrows. We discuss about that in functions of the body wall. Now, the albumin cells are less in number and they produce albumin. Their number is more in clitellum, are more in clitellum and are present in front of 16th segment, in anterior part of the body up to 16th segment. And another point is are present in anterior part of body up to 16th segment. This is about the glandular cells. Glandular cells are special secretory cells and they open outside by pores or the openings which are present on the cuticle, and they are of the two type. One type is mucus cells and the type is the albumin cell. Mucus cells are more numerous and they produce mucus. Its primary function is to make the body surface moist, which helps for cutaneous respiration, and the another function is it also helps in plastering the burrows. The albumin cells are less in number and they produce albumin, the nutritive substance. Albumin is nutritive substance and the number of albumin cell is more in clitellum and they are present only in anterior part of the body up to 16th segment. Okay, this is about the glandular cells. Now, the next type of cell is basal cell. Next type of cell is basal cells. The basal cells, they are small cuboidal cell. The basal cells are small cuboidal cell and they are present at the inner base of supportive cell and glandular cell, are small cuboidal cells and present at the inner base of supportive cells and glandular cells. So, the basal cells are small cube-like cell which are present at the inner base of the glandular cell and the supportive cell. The last type is sensory cells. The sensory cells, they are the special type of cell which are found in group and they are with hairs. Their function is to receive the stimulus. Sensory cells are special type of cells with hairs and are always found in groups. Their function is to receive stimulus. They receive stimulus. They may be tactile receptors, they may be thermoreceptors, photoreceptors. They are of the different type. They are always present in group and they are with hairs. Their primary function is to receive the stimulus. So, this is about the epidermis. The whole epidermis rests on a membrane and this membrane is called as basement membrane. This membrane is called as basement membrane. Now, inner to this epidermis, the layer of muscles is present. Now, about the muscles, also called as musculature. Musculature. Inner to epidermis, inner to epidermis, layer of muscle is present and the layer of muscle or the muscle remains differentiated into circular muscle and longitudinal muscle. It consists of circular muscle and longitudinal muscle. The circular muscle, it forms the outer layer. Let us draw it here. The circular muscle, it forms the outer layer. Circular muscles means the muscle which extends around the body. The muscle which extends around, that is called as the circular muscle. There is presence of a layer of circular muscle. Inner to the layer of circular muscle, there is presence of longitudinal muscle. The longitudinal muscle extends along the length and is present in parallel blocks. These are the parallel blocks of the longitudinal muscle. And inner to the blocks of the longitudinal muscle, a very thin layer of circular muscle is also present. So, this is about the muscular layer. This one is circular muscle, this one is longitudinal muscle, and the inner, this is inner circular muscle. So, the layer of muscle is present inner to the epidermis. This layer, this is cuticle, this layer is epidermis. This is epidermis layer. This is epidermis, and inner to the epidermis, the layer of muscle is present, and this muscle, it consists of circular muscle, longitudinal muscle. The circular muscle, if the body of earthworm, then the circular muscle, if this one is the muscle fiber, then it extends around the body, and the longitudinal muscle extends along the length of the body. So, now the circular muscle it extends around body and forms outer layer. The longitudinal muscle extends along length of body and forms inner layer. And one more thing, the longitudinal muscle is present in parallel blocks. Longitudinal muscle is present in parallel block, and inner to longitudinal muscle, a thin layer of circular muscle is present. So, this is the outer layer of circular muscle, this one is the longitudinal muscle, and this is inner circular muscle. Now, the muscles are smooth muscle. Muscles are smooth muscles. Muscles are smooth, that means on striped. Muscles are smooth or on striped, and the contraction of the circular muscle, when the circular muscle contracts, the body becomes thin and longer. Muscles are smooth on striped. Contraction of circular muscles. Contraction of circular muscles make body longer and thinner. Body became long and thin, while contraction of longitudinal muscles make body shorter, makes body short and makes body thicker, and the two muscles are antagonistic to each other in function. When the circular muscle contracts, the longitudinal muscle relaxes, and when the longitudinal muscle contracts, the circular muscle relaxes. Okay, let's revise once about the muscles. The muscles, which is also called as the musculature, it lies inner to epidermis. The layer of muscle is present inner to the epidermis, and it consists of circular muscle and longitudinal muscle, or the muscle remains differentiated into circular muscle and longitudinal muscle. The circular muscle fiber, it extends around the body, while the longitudinal muscle fiber, it extends along the length. Longitudinal muscle extends lengthwise, while the circular muscle extends around the body. And the circular muscle, it forms the outer layer, while the longitudinal muscle, it forms the inner layer, and the longitudinal muscle is present in parallel blocks. A very thin layer of circular muscle is also present inner to the longitudinal muscle. Inner to the longitudinal muscle, a thin layer of circular muscle is present. Muscles are smooth, unstriped or of involuntary nature, and the contraction of circular muscle makes body longer and thinner, while the contraction of longitudinal muscle makes body short and thick. And the two muscles, that means the circular and longitudinal muscle, are antagonistic. That means when circular muscle contracts, the longitudinal muscle relaxes, and when the longitudinal muscles contract, at that time circular muscle relaxes. Apart from these two type of muscle, at the part of the body wall where the seta are present, the setal muscles are also present. That means the muscles which are responsible to regulate the movement of seta, they are also present, and they are at the region of seta. At the region of seta, a pair of protractor muscles and single retractor muscle are also present. In body wall where the setae are present, at the place where the setae are present, a pair of protractor muscles and single retractor muscle are also present, and these muscles are responsible for the movement of the seta. So this is about the muscles. Now the innermost layer is coelomic epithelium. Now coelomic epithelium. The coelomic epithelium is a very thin layer which is also called as parietal peritoneum or parietal peritoneum, which is also called as parietal peritoneum, is thin layer with flat cells, a very thin layer and consists of flat cell which separates body wall with the coelom. Let make it here. This is the coelomic epithelium. So this is the figure of body wall. This is the structure of the body wall. Now the functions of the body wall. Functions of body wall. The functions are, the first function is it maintains body form. The form of the body is maintained by body wall. In the same way, the mucus produced by mucus cells, the mucus produced by mucus cell makes body surface moist for cutaneous respiration and also help in plastering burrows. So mucus performs two functions. The one function is it makes the body surface moist for cutaneous respiration and it is responsible for plastering of the burrows, makes the inner surface of burrows smooth. Now it lozenge CT are present in it, which are the locomotory organelles. Muscles of body wall and CT help in locomotion. In the same way, the receptors, that means the sensory cells, receive stimulus. The sensory cells, the photoreceptors, tactile receptors which are present, they receive the stimulus. In the same way, the albumin cells produce albumin, which provides nutrients to developing embryo inside cocoon. So, these are the main functions of the body wall. It maintains body form. Mucus, which is produced by the mucous cells of the epidermis, makes the body surface moist for cutaneous respiration and is also responsible for plastering of the burrows. Body wall lozenge CETA provides space for CETA, and muscles of body wall and the CETA, they help in locomotion. The receptors, that means the sensory cells, they receive the stimulus. Different type of sensory cells or the receptors, like the photoreceptors, the tactile receptors and the thermoreceptors which are present, they receive different stimulus. And the albumin cells, they produce albumin, which provides nutrients to the developing embryo inside the cocoon. Okay, this is about the body wall.